And I grew up, and my Uncle Leo was farming, and he was my dad's best friend. And so my dad spent a lot of time on the farm, and I was always with my dad. I also watched a family dispute end up breaking up a partnership between two brothers. And I thought maybe I could have handled that better. I went to school out east, but I never thought of staying, in Washington, D.C. What I always expected was to come home. And I remember when I interviewed at the law school, they asked me what I wanted to do and where I was going to do it. And I told them I wanted to do ag law. And I told them that I wanted to move to a big city like Fond du Lac or Sheboygan, right? The first years I practiced, we were doing a fair amount of financial problems with farms in the early 80s. And then all of a sudden my focus became very much on farm succession planning, probably led because I was involved in a family transaction where the succession planning was done poorly. I never wanted to be a full service law firm. I wanted to put my focus on one group of people, and the only group of people I really knew that well was farmers. Farming is a really cool area to work with people in succession planning because farms have that history of staying together and operating from generation to generation, where you don't necessarily find that in most other businesses. It seems like people want to build a business, sell the business, move to Florida. In farming, the next generation has to kind of work to get dad and mom to slow down because they want to stay involved in the business. So it's got the value system that makes succession planning actually fun. Our successful ones recognize that progress is about learning from the past, not just erasing it. Staying grounded in the principles, even when it's not convenient, and staying grounded in their values. I also learned from this thing that there are opportunities, but there's no guarantees. And so everyone has the opportunity to succeed, and it takes a really quality farmer today to succeed. When you look at the evolution, concentration of farming, wow, the questions become more complex for Troy and Tim and Will and I. The impact of a bad decision is bigger than it used to be. I also think I learned from them that resilience is not being tough. It's just being able to bend without breaking. It's being able to stay strong when other people quit. It really comes from the small things. It comes from the people that believed in you early on. For me, it was family, farm. Today, it's my wife. Learning from the mistakes you made, and there's enough of those. And most of all, knowing what your purpose is, why you're doing what you're doing, and then finding meaning in all that, right? The rural community is more grounded and probably has better values than the urban community. I think it's kind of cool in a small town, maybe in ag, that you're accountable. That if you do something right, somebody might hear about it. But if you do something wrong, they all will hear about it. And that accountability is kind of cool because it makes you do the right things for the right reasons. I think that ag is probably the most honest industry in this nation. Actually, it is the most honest industry in this nation. You can't BS a cow, can you?